Welcome. Tonight's practice is going to be a 90-minute yin class for the spine. Now, my goal over the next several months is to share many of my yin home practices with you. When life gets busy, and I know mine does, instead of trying to push through some of those times, it's really essential to slow down, take it easy, step back, gain some perspective, and really take care of myself so that I have the energy and the clarity to move into those situations. So tonight's class is going to be about the spine, and we're going to work on support and flexibility both. And mainly, the spine is really what gives us the ability to move in all directions, both on our mat and in our life. So we're going to go through all of the movements of the spine. We'll go through flexion, extension, lateral flexion, right and left, as well as twisting, right and left. So go ahead and let's start by coming into a comfortable seated position. You can take crossed legs. You can sit on a blanket if you have tight hips, like myself. You can sit in Virasana or Vajrasana. Just find a place where you can sit with a comfortable seated spine, and then make sure you have some props handy before you actually get into that space. A bolster, an extra blanket, maybe a block, and those are all optional. And you can use towels if you have them at home, or big pillows, they'll work as well. Just something to help prop up the body once you get into different positions. So go ahead and take the shoulders back and down. Go ahead and lightly close your eyes. Starting at your foundation, feel your sits bones grounding into the floor beneath you. Begin to feel your spine moving upward, imagining the space growing between each vertebra. Feel the shoulders move down away from your ears. Maybe even retract the shoulder blades slightly, drawing them closer towards each other and towards the spine itself. If you can soften your jaw, keep a lightness behind your closed eyes and a suppleness on your forehead as you feel the crown of your head lengthen upward. Without changing your breathing, just be aware of what's going on, as your breath often indicates the state of your mind and what's going on in your body. See if you're going to be the observer of your breath, just like you are often the observer of what's going on in the circumstances of your life. And mindfully connect to your breathing and start to lengthen your breath in and out. Feel the ribcage expand to the front, back, and sides. Expanding out as you breathe in, and then lightly drawing in towards the spine, contracting as you breathe out. But keep a softness here. No need for ujjayi breath, even throughout the practice. We're going to create a space of softness, focus. Take a few more rounds of inhaling and exhaling, possibly matching the length of each part of the breath. And before we take any movement, although small, in this practice, ask yourself what you need most from your time on your mat. And when you're ready, lightly open your eyes. We'll start with a slightly more active pose, and you might need a block. We're going to start in malasana, but oftentimes yin phrases are a little bit different for poses, so they call that just a simple squat. So you might actually keep your blanket there if you have a hard time bringing your heels to the ground. Your feet should be a little bit wider than hip distance apart, and toes can point out maybe 10 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees in each direction. And again, if you have tight calves, you can actually roll up a blanket and put it underneath your heels, or you might find it comfortable to sit on a block if your legs get tired. People in various parts of the world bend down like this for many hours at a time. We in the West do not, so we're going to start to practice this. So see if you can spread the sitting bones, spread your knees out wide, feel weight drop back into your heels. You can bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra, helping the knees press lightly out to the side. But your main focus is to lift and lengthen up out of the pelvis with your spine. And we are going to be here for 2 minutes. So see if you can, again, lightly close your eyes. Feel the weight in your heels, some lightness in your toes, but also some pressure down through the ball mount of your foot to give you some stability. And every inhale, focus on lengthening upward, growing your spine taller. And then every exhale, feeling your hips sink down just a little bit more towards the floor. The whole time keeping your collarbone broad, shoulder blades down the back, jaw and face soft. And then use the rest of the time to focus on your breathing, matching the breath in with the length of the breath out. You can feel the arches of your feet lift, the heart lift, and the jaw soften. We're going to go right from here to Uttanasana, or dangling pose. So let your hands come down towards the floor. Keeping the knees bent, let your chest rest on your upper thighs. Start to turn your feet to parallel. Keep the knees bent a lot or a little. You can hold down onto the floor. You can reach for opposite elbows, letting your head and neck dangle. But again, press down through the heel and the ball mount of the foot, lifting the arches. Feeling the shins press in towards one another, but the inner thighs spiral back. Again, head and neck soft, shoulders soft. Starting to open up the hamstrings as we flex the spine forward. And we'll be here for 3 minutes. So start to get cozy, let the head and neck drop. You can always bend your knees a lot, rest your elbows on your knees if you start to get tired. Or if that's even too much, you can rest your head on a table or the back of a chair. But observe your breath in this position. Shoulder blades drawing slightly down the back, head and neck drawing down towards the floor, letting the contents of your head spill out onto your yoga mat. See if you can rock your weight a little more forward to the ball mount of your foot. And see if for the last minute you can refrain from fidgeting, letting the body become still, the breath to become even, and the mind to find a place to rest in that still breath and body. You're ready to come out of this. See if you can begin to lengthen the spine just like you would for Ardha Uttanasana. Turn the feet slightly out one more time. We're going to come right back to Malasana, or your squat position. So again, feet just wider than hip distance. Sitting back onto your heels. Imagine you were going to up dog your chest to lift and extend the spine. Softening the shoulders down, throat. Space between your eyebrows. The inner arches of your feet lifting as you sit back onto your heels. Feel your hips drawing down towards the floor with each exhale and inhale. Imagine your spine growing taller, crown of your head reaching up, heart coming through your legs and lifting up. Soften between your hands and notice the space and the sensations in your head after being upside down. And when you notice sensation arise in other parts of the body, perhaps the shin, the low back, the hips, behind the heart, see if you can extend the breath to those places. Sending space and lightness to any discomfort. That being said, if you are experiencing any pain, please come out of it, because we don't want any sharp pains. But if you feel maybe a dull achiness, that's normal as we start to open up some of these forgotten areas of the body. About 30 more seconds. One more cycle of breath. And as you finish your exhale, allow your fingertips to come back towards the floor. Keeping the knees bent a lot or a little, start to parallel your feet one more time. You can keep them wider than hip distance apart if you'd like, or you can walk your feet in closer underneath your hips, just depending on how open you feel. Remember, with yin poses, we never want to go to 100%. We're really just working at about 50 to 70% of your maximum potential. We're opening slowly here, and we're not generating a lot of heat, so you want to be very careful with how you move your body, very mindful and purposeful in each posture. Make sure you soften the tongue in your mouth. Tuck your chin and let your head hang heavy. See if you can feel the front ribs draw into the back ribs, and still feel your spine lengthening out of your pelvis as your sitting bones lightly spread, and your weight just lightly rolls to the ball mount of your foot, or each foot. Make sure you can still lightly lift your toes off of your mat so you're not dropping your weight into your 10 digits. more slow cycles of breath. And on your last exhale, again, turn your feet just slightly out to the side, drop your hips down once again, and go ahead and come to sit all the way back on your bottom. Just pause for a second. In comfortable seated position, close your eyes, observe the effects on your spine just with those two simple poses alternated. Where can you soften more? And where can you feel more space has already been created? You can lightly open your eyes. We're going to take a straddle pose, or a wide-legged forward fold. So you have a couple different options. I like to sit on a blanket or lightly sit on the front edge of a blanket so it forces me to rock onto my sitting bones. You are going to take your legs wide apart into a V. And if you have really tight hamstrings, you can roll up a blanket or a towel and put it under each knee joint, or if you have really tight hamstrings, you can always just bend the knees and rest your feet on the floor, and this could be your forward fold. Again, we work in progressions. Every body is different. Every day is different. So ideally, we eventually want to get to where we can extend the legs out, move towards that goal at least. And then we are going to take more flexion for the spine, although we're going to add a slight twist to it. So see if you can feel your hamstrings just lightly pressing down into the floor and the heels reaching out away from you. We're going to engage the legs at first to create some stability from the pelvis down so that the spine can lengthen and move, and from that stability have some freedom. And then we'll allow the body to soften, including the legs slightly once we're in our pose. So you might want to grab a bolster, your blanket, pillows, just so you have some options to stack up. So what we're going to do is take your hands by the side of your hips, see if you can lift and lengthen the spine, broaden across the collarbone, lift the hearts. And then we're going to take your right hand in front of you, right hand in front of you, left hand behind you, and then start to twist from your belly button towards your left leg. So I'm doing this class and a lot of these yin classes because flexibility is something I am always working on. And it's fun to accept the body where it's at and also notice where you see some progression. So it's that balance of totally accepting where you're at every day and your body wherever that is, and then enjoying the process as you unfold and evolve. So we're going to turn towards the left leg first, turn the belly button towards the left thigh, start to build up some props, because what we're going to do is start to lay the torso over your left leg, and you can stack up more blankets if you need it. You can place a block underneath your forehead so you have some room to breathe. And I highly recommend keeping one hand, each hand on either side of your left leg to create some stability. And then feel your right sitting bone drop down and press even into the floor as you start to take your forward fold. So we're going to be here for 3 minutes. So I'll give you a few cues along the way, but mainly your goal is just to focus on your breathing. Slow it down. See if you can inhale, maybe count 5 on your inhale, exhale, count 5 on your way out. And you might have more length than that. You might count to 6, 7, or 8, or you might be starting with 3, counting 1, 2, 3, exhaling 1, 2, 3, slowing that down. So again, lift and lengthen. Belly button away from the pelvis, lengthen the spine out towards your left foot, and let your head and neck drop. And we'll start our 3-minute timer. See if you can soften the tongue in your mouth. The shoulder blades drop down the back. And even though your legs are lightly pressing down into the ground, see if you can soften your feet. See if you can soften even a little bit more and remain totally still for these last 60 seconds. Allowing only the breath to open up the tissues and the joints. After your next exhale, slowly start to walk yourself back up through center, rolling up vertebra by vertebra, shifting your prop to the second side. Pause for a moment in neutral, allowing the spine to lengthen, back of each leg to press down into the mat, extending the heels away from the pelvis, Left hand in front of the body, right hand behind. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, turn towards your right. And exhale, keep that length as you start to twist over your right leg. And every side's going to be different, guaranteed. Every pose is going to be different. And variations in the pose, right to left, are going to be different. So honor your body where it's at instead of trying to push to match the other side. Just notice where you're at. Be okay with it. And prop yourself up accordingly. So you might need an extra blanket. You might need to make your block higher. You might need to sit up even further still. You might be more flexible on the second side. But feel the left sitting bone root down as you twist over your right leg. And take a few cycles of breath here. Again, trying to match the length of your inhale with the length of your exhale. Slowing down the breath. Letting the body find some stillness. And the mind can then rest in that still space that the quiet body and evenness of the breath provide. You can keep inflating the rib cage as you breathe in. You can soften the backs of the legs, soften the feet, but keep all 10 toes lightly pointed up towards the ceiling. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to your breathing. Take about 3 more cycles of breath on this side. And then after your last exhale, press your hands into the floor. You keep your chin lightly tucked as you slowly come back up to center. Allow your props to rest right in front of your body for a moment. As you sit nice and tall, maybe supported with your hands just lightly behind you, broaden the collarbone. Notice the sensations in the body. And then keeping that length, we're going to fold straight ahead in our straddle. So it's nice to have either a pillow or your bolster to rest right up against your low belly, so it'll give you something to fold over. And if you need to add some height to your bolster, you can place your block underneath to bring the bolster up to you, and you can stack some books under there, whatever will make it seem easier for you to get comfortable. So again, you're going to lift and lengthen the spine out of the pelvis. Keep that length as you start to fold forward, and we're going to take 5 minutes here for this pose. So I'll let you know when we're about halfway. You're welcome to rest your head on your hands and face forward, or you might turn your head to one side for the first half of our pose and then go back and switch sides. So we'll start either way, head to the right or left or straight ahead, your choice. Again, soften the feet, but allow the toes to point up. Feel your sitting bones ground and the spine lengthen up. Soften the shoulder blades down the back. And then notice the support beneath you. Breathe into the backs of your calves, the backs of your hamstrings, the space between your sitting bones, the space around your sacrum. The space around the lumbar spine, the low back. Move up and breathe into the rib cage, the back of the rib cage, the front of the rib cage, the side body. Breathe up into your thoracic spine, behind the heart, shoulders, shoulder blades drawing down the back, and jaw remaining soft as you even out your breath. And with every inhale, breathe into the support beneath you. So actually feel the lowest part of your lungs expand and the ribcage press into the bolster or your blankets or your pillows or the floor. And as a result, notice the effect on the back body as it rises as well. And then exhale, let everything draw back inward towards the spine with ease. Been about 2.5 minutes, so if you have your head turned to one direction, go ahead and switch that now, so you're even right to left for your neck. You want to bring back your intention for your practice, what you need most or want to receive most out of your practice. Invite that in with each breath. About 30 more seconds. Start by placing your hands back on the floor. Use your inhale to slowly walk yourself back up to center. Remove your props. Place them off to the side for a second. You can take your hands behind your hamstrings to help bend your knees again. So gently moving your legs back in. We'll take some windshield wipers just to actively re-engage those muscles and the joints that we're stretching. So a little side to side, shake it out nice and slow. And observe the sensations in the body. You might even shake out your legs, like maybe you'd roll out the ankles. Whatever's going to feel good to kind of bring back some life to your legs. Okay, so after doing some forward folding and some flexion of the spine, we're going to move into some extension. So some gentle back bending. Again, everything is 70%, 50 to 70%. We don't want to overdo it. So we're going to take Sphinx pose. So we're going to come onto your belly, and you shouldn't need any props for this. You might want to block for your head. We're going to go ahead and come onto your belly. Bring the feet about hip distance apart. We're going to bring the forearms parallel, shoulder distance apart, and place the elbows underneath the shoulder joints themselves. So we're actually going to start by pressing all 10 toes into the floor and actively engaging the legs, feeling your thighs slightly inner spiral, and then feel your pelvis just lightly press down into the ground. And then you can just lightly relax the legs back down. And then feel your elbows drawing back towards your body without actually moving them, eccentrically contracting the shoulder blades down the back, lifting as if you're going to pull your heart through your arms, your upper arm bones. And then we're going to let the shoulder blades drop down, the chest melts. But keep pressing the forearms into the ground and lifting and lengthening up out of the spine. So we're going to stay here for about 3 minutes in Sphinx pose. So feel the shoulders move away from the ears. You can keep your neck in line with your spine, or if you want to take your block, you can rest that way. You might need to stack 2 blocks, just depending on how you feel. So play around with that. But notice what happens here. See if you can start to breathe into the heart as we open the heart and invite some flexibility from the spine into how we give and love and move in our life. All while keeping the body still and the breath even. The tendency is to get hard in the shoulders, so see if you can soften the shoulders. Keep softening the shoulder blades down the back. Feel as though the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are going to move in more into your body to lift your heart up. And oftentimes we'll do this pose to prep for some deeper back bends. But notice what happens here in the mind as you hold this pose for longer than you might in a traditional yang class, a more active-based class. And then instead of resisting or noticing that you might want to exit the pose early, see if you can soften somewhere. See if you can draw on the support of the spine to give you some flexibility when the situation might not be clear or comfortable. And can you draw on that strength to be more graceful and find more ease in any given moment? You have about 60 more seconds here, so you're welcome to stay in Sphinx. If you feel more inclined to do a deeper back bend, you might start to press the palms into the floor, start to straighten the arms, and come into seal pose, but keep the shoulder blades drawing down the back. Drawing the heart center forward through as if you were retracting your hands on the mat towards your body. But more is not always better, so listen to what your body needs today. And can you find some stillness there? Take one more full cycle of breath. And then on your exhale, slowly lower your elbows down. Remove any obstacles. Go ahead and come onto your belly and turn your head to one side. Take a few cycles of breath. Make sure you turn your head to the other side also to be even. And then slowly begin to make your way onto your back for bridge pose, another back bend extension pose of the spine. Although this time we're going to support ourselves instead of having to work necessarily with the upper body. We're going to allow gravity to help open up the spine in this direction. So we're going to take the block. You have 3 levels, low, medium, or high. And again, you're finding that 50 to 70%. And we're going to take the block across the top of the pelvis so it's perpendicular to your spine. And you want it to be right across the pelvis. You can find that sweet spot once you're in the pose. So have your block next to you as you're on your back. Feet hip distance apart. Start by pressing the feet evenly into the floor. Slightly begin to press into the feet, tuck the tailbone, and lift the hips just an inch or 2 off the floor. Move your knees away from your torso as you start to lift the hips even higher, and then slide your block right underneath your pelvis. You might want to roll the shoulder blades down your spine, broaden across the collarbone, turn the palms up. You might want to interlace your hands behind your back, behind the block. That's up to you. Again, we're not going to be extremely aggressive in this pose. We're going to try to find some ease. So we're going to be here again for 3 minutes, opening up the spine. So see if you can, again, allow gravity to drop your hips onto the block. Feel your knees moving lightly away from your pelvis. Feel length in your spine as you enjoy this gentle back bend. And then feel the back of your head just lightly pressing into the floor. Tongue resting in the bottom of your mouth. See if you can send the evenness of breath to your heart. Noticing it get lighter and possibly brighter. As you enjoy this gentle back bend. See if you can soften the backs of your legs. Connect with the sensation at the bottom of your feet. And the palms of your hands, all without moving the body at all. the last minute, just see how you can drop right in. On your next inhale, begin to press your feet into the floor. Tuck the tailbone, lift your hips off of your block, remove the block from underneath your body. Slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. And extend your legs out towards Shavasana and just pause and notice the effects of the back bend on your body. And then begin to bring your feet about hip distance apart and actively engage the legs like Tadasana. You might even roll the shoulder blades down the back, broaden across the collarbone, and stand or be in a reclined Tadasana. But imagine you're pressing your feet into the floor, actively engaging the legs, feeling the tailbone tuck, feeling the floating ribs draw in. And then we're going to take a lateral flexion. We're going to turn into a human banana. So we're going to walk your feet over to the left side of your mat, lower left corner of your mat, and see if you can keep your feet hip distance apart to start, or you can bring them together. And then we're going to, same direction, move your torso over to the upper left corner of your mat. So now you're in an arced shape with your body. Like I said, the human banana. Feel the inner arches of your feet coming together, and you're welcome to stay with your arms by your side. You're welcome to reach your arms up overhead. You're welcome to interlace your hands behind your head, or reach for opposite elbows, creating a little pillow for your head. And then feel your right hip drop down towards the floor as we will be in Bananasana. You're like a banana pose, essentially, in the yin language. First, you can drop the right shoulder down, right hip down, as you open up the right side body. And this time, take your mental focus to the right rib cage. See if you can inhale all the way into the right side body. And then as you exhale, see if you can feel space in the intercostal muscles between each bone of the rib cage. But still lengthening the breath in and slowing down the breath out. Feet lightly engaged, still reaching together, shins in, reaching towards the bottom of your mat. Right sitting bone dropping down, right hip dropping down, right shoulder dropping down, and back of the head heavy. See if you can stay still for about the first minute and a half and breathe into the space, and then I'll give you the halfway point if you want to move deeper. Feel so inclined to fidget and go a little bit deeper. Maybe walk your feet a little more to the left. Your upper body to the left. Do so now. Keep the breath moving even. On your next inhale, go ahead and walk yourself back to center, scoot your torso back to the middle. Start back in Tadasana, collarbone broad, tailbone tucked, legs engaged, and then walk your feet over to the right lower corner of your mat, a lot or a little, keeping the feet glued together. And then slowly start to move the upper body to the upper right corner of your mat. And again, arms can stay by your side. They can reach up behind you. If they're going to reach behind you, put opposite arm on top, opposite forearm on top. And feel your left hip drop down, left shoulder drop down. And breathe into the left rib cage. You can soften your fingertips, soften your jaw, soften your abdomen. Been about 1.5 minutes, so if you do want to scooch a little bit more, make it more intense, or you just created more space to move a little further, do so now. But then find the stillness with the body and allow the mind to rest in that even breathing. On your next inhale, go ahead and walk yourself back to center. Bend your knees. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock a little side to side. Maybe take a hold of the soles of the feet for happy baby pose. And then for the last set of poses, we're going to combine two of my favorites, which will start to open up the outer hips. Since we did a lot of straddling to open the inner hips as well as the spine, we're going to do a little bit of outer hip work as well as our twist for the spine specifically, both to the right and to the left. So stay on your back. I'll actually demonstrate an easier pose. We are going to take what they call swan pose, a reclining swan pose in yin, or a pigeon, like a seated pigeon pose in other variations. So we're going to have both soles of the feet on the ground if you're going to start seated. We're going to cross your lower right ankle, just above your left knee, or a figure 4 shape essentially. And then you can start to broaden the collarbones, lift the heart, and start here. And you're going to feel this in the outer hip. That's your first option as easiest option. First bus stop, as I would like to call it. Second is to stay on your back. Still have the figure 4 shape, same leg position, and then you can draw the left knee in towards your chest and hug behind the hamstring or on the shin. And then you can draw your legs in close, as close to you as it feels comfortable, feeling both sides of the torso extend. And we're going to stay here for a minute, and then we'll take the twist for 3 minutes on each side. So just feel your right knee pressing away from your torso, a gentle stretch in the outer hip. See if you can keep your right foot just lightly flexed to protect your knee joint on the right side. Soften your fingers and your jaw. If you were taking the seated swan variation, you can go ahead and come down onto your back now. And then what we're going to do, first option would be to just easier option, cross your right knee over your left, place the left foot on the floor, shift your hips 2 inches to the right and drop your knees to the left for a reclining twist, option number 1. Or if you want to take a more challenging version, staying with the same figure 4 shape we had before, you can take your left hand to your right shin, make sure I don't squish my microphone, and we're going to slowly drop your left foot almost to the floor, and then we're going to step your right foot onto the floor. And then if that feels really far away, you can always take a block and place the right sole of the foot on a block to bring the floor up to you. So now we're taking a nice twist for the spine, but we're also still getting a nice lateral stretch in the right side body. So see, you can maybe lift the torso up, lengthen it, and drop your right shoulder toward the floor. And you can hold on to the right shin. You can take a fist with your left hand and just prop it up underneath your right thigh to help give you some leverage. And then if you do want to make it more intense, you can always walk your left knee a little closer to your face. But again, we're not going 100% here. So we're going to be here for about 2.5 more minutes. So see if you can let your right shoulder drop. You can gaze to the left, you can gaze straight up, you can turn your head to the right if you want to go even further, but just find something that's easy. Just feel the connection between the sole of the right foot and the ground or your block. If you've got your knees together towards a twist, feel your right hip moving away from your heart. And even if you are in the figure 4 variation, see if you can feel your right hip moving away from you towards the bottom edge of your mat. Feel your fingers soften, your heart soften, your right shoulder melt down towards the floor. And then observe the difference in what it is to breathe here, and focus on that stability in your fluid breath. Engage your focus here in the present moment through your breathing or your intention for your practice. On your next inhale, slowly start to unwind. Coming back to center, place the sole of the right foot to the ground. Pause for a moment. Notice what your body feels like right to left. And we're going to come right to the second side. So if you took a sitting swan variation, you'll start with your hands behind your body, sitting up, crossing the lower left leg just above the ankle, across the right knee. Or if you're on your back, again, same figure four shape for the legs, drawing the right knee in towards the chest, hugging behind the right hamstring or the right shin bone. You can actually take your left elbow and start to externally rotate that left leg. Again, we're going to be here for about a minute, so just check in, soften the shoulder, soften the jaw, feel both sides of the body lengthening as you possibly draw your knees in closer towards your chest. Keep a little activity in the little energy in the left foot. And then when you're ready, either come back onto your back, cross your left leg over your right, move your hips an inch or two to the left, then drop your knees to the right, just for a simple spinal twist. Or if you want the more challenging version, keep your legs in the figure four shape, and then start to take a timber and drop all the way down to your right, placing the sole of the left foot on the floor. And taking a twist in this direction. So once you're here with the left foot on the floor or on your block or just your knees crossed, see if you can lift the torso slightly, recenter the heart with the back of the body on the floor, and then allow the left shoulder blade to drop towards the ground. Again, you could hold the left shin with your right hand or take your right hand into a fist and prop up that leg. But the point is to find some softness and some ease here. So relax the fingers, relax the feet. Feel the back of your head heavy. Breathe into the left QL, left side body. Move the left hip towards the bottom edge of your mat. And then soften your face as much as possible. So you find your breath again here. See if you can find total stillness with the body for the next minute. Take 3 more cycles of breath. When you're done, coming back out. Coming to lie flat on your back, hugging your knees in towards your chest, maybe one more time. Maybe taking a happy baby, maybe rocking a little side to side, maybe extending the legs again into a Supta Upavishta Konasana. And then when you feel ready, begin to make your way towards Shavasana. You should have a lot of props by you, so you can take your bolster, place it under your knees. That feels good. It's nice to create a little bit of space for the low back to rest when you do that. But find a way to let your body get comfortable. And then on your next inhale, take in as much breath as you possibly can. Pause at the top and hold that breath in. As you exhale, nose or mouth, let it all out. 2 more just like that. Deep inhale. Hold. Soften somewhere. And then breathe out. Last time, breathing in. Hold. Exhale, breathe out. Let your body go back to breathing itself without any effort, any sustained focus. And again, become the observer and notice what changes have taken place in your body, around your spine. The space in your head. Notice your relationship to your intention from your practice. And can you feel the softness in your body, both in your practice and in the present moment, to receive that intention in its fullest, most expansive potential. Really begin to deepen your breath. Maybe take a nice long stretch before you draw your knees in towards your chest and roll over onto your left side. Your cooling side, your soft side, your yin side. And then gently make your way back to a comfortable seat with your eyes closed. Bring your hands together at your heart in Anjali Mudra. Just lightly bow your gaze. Thank yourself for taking this time to dip into the stillness that is always present within you. That support and flexibility of your spine and of your character to navigate the numerous opportunities in your life. So thank yourself for this time, and I thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.